elders, but today people gathered here, and it's wonderful to see. Again, we thank Swami Sarvadevananda Maharaj for giving a delightful retreat yesterday and today. And today we are joined by Swami Atmajnananda Maharaj from Washington DC Center, as well as Swami Vimokshananda Maharaj from Dublin, Ireland. And today's topic is life and teachings of Lord Krishna. And then tomorrow morning we have at 10:30 a.m., not at 10 a.m., but 10:30 a.m. by Swami Vimokshananda, Family Values in Vedanta Perspective. Then at 11:30 tomorrow we also have Vedanta Children Formal Pack Lunch here. And in addition we have one community announcement. We have Srimati Astha Goswami. She is the disciple of Padma Bhushan Srimati Jarisha Devi. There is a recital, Hindustani classical, semi-classical and devotional music on Sunday, October 7th at 2 p.m. And it's at Frick Fine Arts Center Auditorium, and the admission is free. Thank you.
What is the topic?
Today's topic.
Life and teachings of Sri Krishna. Life and teachings. Life and teachings. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanolamadhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So today we will have a wonderful opportunity to have Swamis and one Brahmachari Maharaj. We can catch him also. So, no, we'll think, we'll hear about Sri Krishna's life and his teachings. So, instead of me talking one way, it's better to have this special occasion. So, we'll hear from the Swamis. And I will at the end say a few words. So I first hand over this to Swami Vimokshananda. He's coming from Dublin, Ireland. And then he is now going there, and it's a special occasion that he could come. And Swami Atmajnanananda also has brought him here. So we are very happy. I am very happy to see what he will do. So give it to Swami. We have time because 7:30 to 8:30, so 1 hour time. So 15 and 20 minutes. 15-20 minutes.
Till 9.
Or 9 o'clock. Or then you can go more.
30 minutes each one.
Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. Revered Sarvadevananda Maharaj, to him my respectful pronouns, and dear brother Atmajnanananda and the Brahmachari and all the devotees and my dear children. It has been a great occasion for me to think that I am in Pittsburgh today. About 6 months back, when I was transferred to Ireland, then they told me it will take 4 to 6 weeks to get the long-term visa. then where to spend that time, I was thinking. And in consultation with Swami Atmajnanananda, he said, Maharaj, you come to Washington DC first. I was not planning to come to Washington. Straight away go to Tampa and from Florida to go to other places. But then Maharaj said, you come here, attend 3 days retreat, and from here I shall take you to New Jersey and Pittsburgh. And from Pittsburgh you can fly to wherever you want to go. So by his grace and his wonderful assistance, today I am here with the devotees of the Pittsburgh. Yes, we have just finished one of the important festivals of Hindus all over the world, and that is the Krishna Janmashtami. Ashtami is over, Navami also is over, Ekadashi is over. Now, today we are recollecting what we should have done on the day of Janmashtami. Janmashtami is a very grand occasion when Lord Sri Krishna was born. The Parabrahman, who can take many forms, took a form as Sri Krishna and came into this world. It is a wonderful thing to think of Sri Krishna, Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Mande Jayapuram. We all pray that, hey Krishna, I bow down to you one day. Who are you? You are the Jagat Guru. That Jagat Guru, to him my obeisance. We say that. But I am not going to detail the life of Krishna or his teachings, because Swami Atmajnananda is going to speak next to me. He will take up the teachings perhaps, but I will take up the birth of Sri Krishna, which is really, really so charming to me and to millions of people who worship Sri Krishna, who adore Sri Krishna. It is a wonderful life. I was telling, I just touched upon in my retreat also in Washington DC about Sri Krishna, because on that day it was Krishnashtami. So I could bring Krishna later. But today I will tell you what a marvelous way of God coming as an avatar. Sri Ramakrishna gives a very beautiful example. There is a beautiful fun and fair is going on. It's a huge area, and in your presence a big screen is there. You are hearing the noise, you are hearing the songs, you are hearing the dances. So many things are going on, but you cannot see. Such wonderful things are going on beyond that screen, and you cannot see because there is a screen that is before you, hiding the whole thing happening outside. So Sri Ramakrishna says, if you want to see the other side, what you should do? You should jump and go. But that is not possible. But you put a small hole in the screen, and through the hole, if you look at it, the entire thing outside is visible to you. So God's glory is infinite. That infinite glory we cannot comprehend. So an avatar is a small hole. Through him we can gauge the glory of the infinity. So the avatar comes again and again and again. As Sri Krishna in Gita says, Yuga Yuga. So every yuga he comes, he takes a body. So that body was taken this time, and to whom he came as a son to Devaki and Vasudeva. When he appeared on that wonderful Ashtami night, it was middle 12 o'clock, 10 minutes before 12 o'clock I think. So Krishna did not appear, Mahavishnu appeared. Mahavishnu's avatar is Sri Krishna, we believe. So Mahavishnu appeared before Devaki and said, Devaki, do you know what was your past birth? Do we all know our past birth? We do not. We don't remember. Unless some great man comes and tells you this is your past birth for which that you have come to this world. So Devaki was stunned to see Lord Vishnu with all the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. He was standing there. And he said, "Oh Devaki, I am very happy with your devotion. I want to remind you of your past birth." What was the past birth of Devaki? He said, in the past birth, you were called Krishna and you did tapasya for 10,000 years. The purpose of the tapasya was that Lord Sri Hari should be born to me as my son. Now you understand how a tall order. Being a human, you are aspiring for getting the Lord himself as your son. Is it possible? Whether it's possible or not, she doesn't know. She wished and she prayed and she did tapasya. Now tapasya, which God is not moved by your tapasya? If you have tapasya, so tapasa brahmedi vyajana. By tapasa you can know the Brahman. So Lord is pleased with your tapasya. And he says, "Oh Krishna, in the previous birth, now Devaki, I am pleased." At that time, when I asked you that what do you want, you told me, "Oh Lord, you are Antaryami. You are inside my heart. So you know everything. So you fulfill my desire, the only desire I have, for which 10,000 years I did tapasya." Lord said, "Nothing. You have to speak out your desire." So I was telling Washington, if you go to your boss and tell him that I want 10 days leave, will he say, "Okay, go"? He will say, "Put up an application." That is what Lord did. What Lord said to Devaki, "You tell me exactly what do you want." That means Lord is asking Devaki to put in words, what do you want? Here is the problem comes. We all have wonderful experiences where emotion takes the grip of our mind. At that time, you are asked to speak out. It is impossible. Yesterday only, I had such a wonderful experience at Niagara. By the grace of Maharaj, and he took me to Niagara. Maharaj, the first time I came, I read about it. But then, first time seeing with my eyes the Niagara Falls, I was simply overwhelmed with the emotion. When you come out, when you want to convey that emotion, are the words adequate to convey that emotion? No. I could not convey my emotion. Except using the English words nice, wonderful. All these things are not at all adequate to express my emotion of at that time when the water came on me and I stood there. It was difficult to express that emotion. How do you explain the emotion? Cannot be explained. So when you are asked to explain and when you put it in words, the potency of the emotional experience goes away. It becomes very, very normal. And that is what happens. So whenever you are asked to explain. So when Lord told Devaki, ask, tell it in words. Then I can fulfill your prayer. I have come here to fulfill your prayer. But you must tell me. Because a human being has these failings. What is the failing? When you want to put it in words, you don't find adequate expression and you get doubt in your mind. And Devaki had that doubt. What doubt she had? I am going to tell Lord, who is infinite, who is everywhere, who is omnipotent, who is omniscient, that Lord, I am asking the Lord to come to me as my son. Is that at all possible? Will he not laugh at me? What type of prayer you are having? this prayer is not possible. I cannot come like that. She may say, so let me say two things to Lord. She thought. She said, oh Lord, I do not know what I am going to ask you. I have the deep desire in my mind that you should be born to me as my son. If that is not possible, she should not have added that. For God, which is not possible. Everything is possible to Lord. But then she said, because the human mind, it cannot go to the infinity. So in the finite level it is thinking. So she thought, if it is not possible, do this. You give me a son who is equivalent to you. Secondly, you come to me as my son and at least stay with me for a few minutes. That was all. Lord said, hey Devaki, you have asked, hey Krishna, you asked such a boon. I am ready to give you that boon. But you are telling me, equivalent to me somebody you give. There is no equivalent to me anymore. Ekoham. I am the only one. To me there is nothing, nobody is equivalent. So, I have decided to be born to you. This is coming nicely.
The back and downstairs they are not able to hear.
Okay.
There is another group of people in the ground.
Oh, I see.
So they are also.
I see. Okay, thank you for being kind to them.
You continue.
Yes. So, how do I get another man equivalent to me? There cannot be two gods. That is what Hinduism teaches. God is only one. So there is nobody can be equivalent. So I have decided to come to you. But because you asked me that if at least a few minutes stay with me, I shall do so. That's how Devaki got delivered. When he came as a Vishnu, she also told him, oh Lord, how can you take you as my baby? Don't worry. A woman carries a baby for 9 to 10 months. But the whole thing happened in Nimesha, in 1 minute, the whole thing happened. He entered into Devaki and Devaki delivered the child. Thus, Sri Krishna was born at midnight exactly at 12:00 a.m. Krishna was born. And that Krishna's birth is so wonderful. Lord coming himself as a son of Devaki, so Devaki Paramanandam. So the poet says, that Bhakta says, Devaki has got Paramanandam. Paramanandam. You know, Parabrahman coming to one lady as a son, that lady will have Parama Anandam. Nothing less than supreme bliss. Maharaj was telling today in his class, I was hearing from my room, that how Shuddha Brahma Pararpara Ram. Ram is not an ordinary person. He is not a simply Dasharatha's son. He is not a well-versed in that warfare, not that a king. He was, or he is, Shuddha Brahma Pararpara Ram. Only in the 6th line, Kaushalya, Sukhavardhana Ram, Dasharatha Nandana Ram, all those things later. First what it is? Shuddha Brahman. So that Shuddha Brahman comes in the form of Krishna. That Shuddha Brahman, he who is what? That Shuddha Brahman came as the form of Sri Ramachandra in Treta Yuga, and as Sri Krishna in Dwapara Yuga is now in this body, Sri Ramakrishna says. He didn't say Rama and Krishna here. He said, he who came as Sri Ram, he who came as Sri Krishna is now in this body. Who is that? Who came as Ram and Krishna? Shuddha Brahma. That Shuddha Brahma Parapara came again in this time as Krishna. That's why Krishna Leela is something wonderful. If you one time you hear, one time you say Krishna, Krishna Kishore, one great devotee was there for Ramakrishna. And Ramakrishna used to make a lot of fun of it. You know, Krishna Kishore Ekadashi, he used to say. Ekadashi generally we all fast. But Krishna Kishore would take 1 dozen banana, 2 oranges, and a full bunch of grapes. Like that he used to eat. So Sri Ramakrishna used to make fun. What Ekadashi you are doing? Krishna Kishore Ekadashi. So he used to eat a lot. Only fruits of course. But then he used to eat a lot. So Krishna Kishore used to say, one time the name of Krishna. Somebody told 10 times you take the name of Krishna. Krishna said, what? Bogus you are talking. One time you take the name of Krishna, everything is accomplished. Why you have to repeat the name of Krishna? Such is the faith of Krishna Kishore in the name of the Lord. Even Sri Ramakrishna says that when Krishna Kishore was moving in one village and one most lowest class of caste, a red girl was there near the well, and Krishna Kishore had so much of thirst. So he went and told the lady, please give me water. She said, hey, I see you as a great Brahman. I cannot give you water. I am lowest caste. He said, say Shiva, Shiva. Your caste is gone. You are my devotee's caste and you are my caste. I can take water from you. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, see the faith in the name of the Lord by Krishna Kishore. So now coming back to Krishna's life, Krishna was born. Now the story does not end there. The story begins. But then Krishna has to go to somebody else. Who was the person to whom he has to travel now? Mahayashoda. Very good, thank you. Mahayashoda he has to go. How the Lord will go now? He has officially born now to Devaki. Devaki and Vasudeva both are in bondages. Big chains have been put by that cruel Kamsa. And the Kamsa has put that they cannot even move. And now she delivered a baby. And how does everything happen? And Lord Vishnu told Vasudeva, when I am born as a child to you, you have to carry me to Yashoda and then put me there. Then take that baby girl from there and bring it here. Now that was the instruction of Mahavishnu. And now Vasudeva is thinking, baby is now born, how I am going to do? When Parabrahman comes to you, can any shackles remain? Is the question we discuss in philosophy. If you want to cut off Khandana, Bhavabandhana, Bhavabandhana has to be cut off. It should be Khandana. How do you do that? When Lord comes before you, can any bandhan remain there? So one by one, all the bandhanas are cut off. Because Lord has come. In presence of Lord, no bondage can be there. No bondage. None of any type of bondage that we feel can remain in the presence of God. When God darshan, you have got. When you have the darshan, nothing can bind you. You are free, Swami says. In the presence of God, you are free, 100% free. So all the bandhanas, all the chains were cut off. Dun, everything was broken. And Vasudeva sees, no chain is there. No, the legs, no chain. He is free now. He took the baby and put the baby in a tokari. Tokari, you know, in the Hindi we say tokari, basket. And then basket he put him on his head. And he comes to the door. The door is locked. 2-3 locks comes as given. And one by one the locks are broken. Because Lord has come. What can detain the Lord? Lord is omniform, omnipotent. Is it not? Lord has got 3 qualities. Omnipotency, omniscience, and omnipresence. So, omnipotent. Before him nothing can stop. So one by one, the locks broke and the doors opened and he started walking. And now the problem. What is the problem? Clouds. The nature. Then as if the clouds wanted to see their own colored baby. They were all black and blue. Cumulus clouds have gathered and they wanted to see the baby. Our Lord has come. The Lord of the universe has come in the form of a baby. We must look at him. So they all joined at one place. And when the cumulus clouds come together, what will happen? It cannot remain. The Lord has come and tears of joy swelled in the clouds and the tears fell as rains. Huge rains has come. And Vasudeva is walking there. Vasudeva is thinking, my little baby, just born baby, what will happen to this baby? It will fully get drenched and it may get cold. He is thinking, but he doesn't know it is Parabrahman because the memory is lost now. Only the memory is there that he has to take the baby, leave it at Yashoda's place and bring the baby girl. That's all he knows. Now he is walking and then Yamuna. Yamuna river he has to cross. And Yamuna is in spate of the day because waters are coming from the sky and Yamuna, so much of flood, how is he going to cross? That was the problem. At that time, he stood there before Yamuna and is holding the baby and rains have just started. He thought, I cannot stop anymore because time is very, very precious now. Let me walk. And he just walked and strange, Yamuna gave way. Lord has come. Yamuna is one of the Priya Sakhi of Lord Krishna. Vishnu, see when Puranas speak about certain things, you should not take it literally. That's why Swamiji says, I need somebody to interpret Puranas for the modern mind, scientific mind. He says, this Yashoda, like Yashoda was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Sri Krishna. Likewise, like this Yamuna was there. Yamuna had a great desire to be the wife of Lord Vishnu. And she accepted her desire to be his wife. That's why now she is wondering, my Lord has come into this universe and Vasudeva is carrying in the basket my Lord. And how has he come? He has come as a just born baby. That beauty of the baby, so far nobody has seen except Vasudeva and Devaki. None else has seen the beauty of the baby. I must be the third person to see. So she was in spate. How does Yamuna can see the baby? Unless she raises in big waves and goes beyond the height of Vasudeva and drenches Lord Krishna, she cannot see him. So she was Utar Putar Bolena Bangate, Chetavar. So Yamuna was terribly upset. I must see the beauty of my Lord. How she will see? And she is raising. And here rains are coming. When the rains came, one who came as Balaram, Adisesha, could not stand there. His bed is empty. Vishnu now has come here. So what he did? He came straight away to the earth and he put his 5-hooded head over that basket. So the Lord could not be drenched with the rains. But then the clouds have seen Lord. And now Yamuna has to see. So Yamuna, wherever the water is nearby, Yamuna is raising the waves and she wants to see that baby. So Lord was playing with her. Lord thought, it's a beautiful story, you know. When I say this, and I heard it from one Kataka in Vrindavan. So he was telling in a very, actually these stories, you know, cannot be put so beautifully in English. Sorry to say that. English is a commercial language, not a spiritual language. But then we have to use English here, so I'm using it. But when you speak the same thing in Hindi or Bengali, you can actually weep. The beauty of that literature you can see that. Is it right?
Yes.
Thank you. So that Yamuna started now crying, how can I see my Lord? And she was taking little more and more height of waves. She wants to just jump into the basket and see the Lord. So Lord said, no, I am not going to show my form to you. Because then only Viraha can come. If you want to see the beloved, there must be Viraha. Otherwise, you cannot, if you just see like that, there is no point. So Lord said, I am not going to show my form. You just hanker for that, yearn for that. Yearning can bring the form of God before you. So Yamuna was yearning. And how she said? She came just a bigger wave, bigger wave, bigger wave. So Lord said, okay, I will put my foot out. You just touch it. So the small baby put the foot out of the basket. And Yamuna touched that. She felt blessed. And then he came. Then when he came to Nanda's place, Nanda Gopal's place, and everybody was sleeping, as in the jail, in that Karagra, the jail where Krishna was born, all the pradaris, that is, the watchmen were sleeping. Likewise, here also people were sleeping. So he simply went and took the baby very easily, put Krishna there, took the baby girl and brought here. The thing is, why Krishna was born in a jail? Well, his parents were there in the jail, so he was born. Very simple answer. That is only a simple answer that doesn't satisfy us. As a spiritual aspirant, you know that when we do arati to Sri Ramakrishna, today I heard a beautiful arati song. Very rarely in our centers, private centers, people can sing our arati song so nicely, Maharaj. I congratulate the ladies who sang beautifully. The devotees sang very nicely. And the arati song, as it should be sung, they were singing. So, in that arati song, during the last stanza, what does Swami Vivekananda say? Namo, Namo. What is the text? Prabhu Vakya Manatita Manovachanai Kadha. Then Jyotira Jyoti Jala Hridi Kandara. That is what he says. What is Hridi Kandara? Kandara means cave, a prison. Hridi means Hridaya. That our heart is full of darkness. It is so much darkness. Under the Jyoti comes, the darkness cannot go. How do you remove the darkness in a room? Swamiji says, by knowing Vedanta, you can remove the darkness. The darkness may be for 1,000 years in a room. But when you enter the room and light a matchstick, immediately when the light is blown, what happens? Does the darkness go slowly? Does it take 1,000 years to go back? He says no. Instantly. It is an instant mechanism. You light the lamp, the Jyoti has come, the darkness is vanished. So, in our heart, Jyotira Jyoti, that Hridi Kandara is full of darkness. And that's why that prison was full of darkness. Not even a light was there. When Lord Vishnu appeared there, in his effulgence, the whole prison cell became so lighted. And that's why they could see the form of Lord. Ordinarily, we can't see the form of Lord. Krishna himself says, my glory is 100,000 Suryas. That is also cannot be equal to my Jyoti. It's such a Jyoti. That Jyoti is within us. Can you imagine that? What a wonderful way that Vedanta says, that divinity, which is the source of all knowledge, is within us. Swamiji says, he is never tired of telling this. Each soul is potentially divine. Maharaj also today spoke about the divinity of the soul. We are all divine. If you think that you are somebody, that is wrong. If you ask me what is your name, who are you? I'll say Swami Vimokshananda. This name was not there before 1981. But how I am attached to this name? Before that somebody name, some other Brahmacharya name was there. Smriti Chaitanya. And that name also was born only in 76 when I had Brahmacharya. Before that, what was the name? Parents must have given some name. Okay. And that name also, how many days after they gave? Say it's about 20 days after. So for the first 20 days, what name I had? No name. Not even they could say, the parents and relatives could say he or she. They would only say it. Such is our case. We are all told it, you know. Not even he or she. And such is the case, and how much we identify with our name. And the name comes later. And the name also will go away. Once you finish leave this body, the name is gone. Before 1981, I was given this name. 10 years before, there was one Swami in Kerala. His name was Swami Vimokshananda. He passed away. So a Swami is passing away, that name is repeated. So within 10 years, I got that name. So like that, another person is going to get after me. So like that, the name, how much we attach? The name which is not mine. And that is what happens. So how much that jyoti, that knowledge, under the knowledge comes within us, detachment cannot come. What is the essence of Krishna's teachings in Gita is, if you say, it is detachment. Detach yourself. For that I will give you a small story. In Bhagavatam, it comes that one day, the 108 gopikas who were playing with Sri Krishna, they came. Said Krishna told, see, my Guru who taught me the Parabrahma Vidya, Paravidya, who taught me Paravidya, has come. The opposite village of Yamuna. His name is Durvasa. Once I met Durvasa, and Durvasa taught me the secret of Parabrahma Vidya, Paravidya as it called. And that Guru has come. So Krishna was telling, the gopis were so much interested. Let us go and see our Krishna's Guru. So they said, hey Krishna, allow us to go and see. He said, yes. It's just you take a boat and cross the river and Guru is sitting there. But don't go in empty hand. Sri Ramakrishna also says, if you want to go and have a darshan, a great man, at least take a lemon in your hand, he says. If you can't take vastra, if you can't take pranami, don't worry. At least a small lemon you take. In South Africa, one doctor used to come and meet me. He would always bring a flower. I thought he's coming, bringing it from his home. So one day I was standing outside of the temple. I saw he entered the shrine. And then he came out, he straight went to our garden. And from the garden he plucked those flowers and brought it to me. Maharaj, this is the flower for you. He said, I said, okay. So Ganga Jale, Ganga Puja. In Bengali they say. So if you do the Ganga Puja, you prepare fresh water. From where you get, take the same water, Ganga Jal, and do Ganga Puja. So that's what he was doing. So this, something you have to give. So what? He said, each gopi must prepare one dish. So 108 dishes put in a pot and cross this nadi and then go there and meet me. And on the day they decided to go, they came and Yamuna was in spade. None of the boatmen was willing to cross the Yamuna with boat. He said, my boat cannot go, I can't ply the boat. Then how they will cross? At that time Krishna was slowly walking, he was taking a stroll. And he came there. Hey Krishna, Krishna, this is the problem, we cannot go there. He said, one simple method. You just go and tell Yamuna, hey Yamuna Mate, if Krishna has never touched us, open way for us. They all look at him. What? Every Purnami night we dance and you hold our hands. How many times you have touched us? And how can you tell a lie there? If Krishna has never touched, how can you say that? He said, in that case you don't go. I am leaving. So he has left. Then they all gopis are standing there. And they have freshly made their items also. They don't want to go back to home. Now what to do? Okay, let us say what Krishna told. So they told that. And immediately Yamuna came away. They just crossed without any problem. And there Durvasa was sitting. Durvasa seeing the Gopikas was so happy. Hey Gopi, how you are dhanya. The Lord himself is playing with you. Like that he was praising them. And said, okay, what have you brought for me? You know, some Swamis ask us, what have you brought for me? What did you cook for me? So Durvasa asked like that. Immediately they said, oh, I have brought this, I have brought this. Each gopi gave one pot. And Durvasa finished within seconds. All the 108 pots were empty. He didn't even give to them as prasad. All the pots are now empty. Now he sat with them and he told about Krishna. Glory of Krishna he spoke there. And they all heard, they were very happy to hear about Krishna. Now the time has come for them to return. When they came to Yamuna, Yamuna still is in spade, and how will they cross now? There is no boatman in sight. So they went and asked, whom? Durvasa Muni. What to say now? He told, if Durvasa has not eaten anything, hey Yamune, give it. How wonderful it is. There Krishna says, never touched us. And here, after eating 108 pots of sweets, he says, I have never eaten. Anyway, they have to return home, so they told that immediately Yamuna gave it. After some days, they asked Krishna, what is this rahasya? What is the secret of this? Why is it that in spite of your touching us, that we have to say that you have never touched? In spite of his eating all the 108 pots, he says that he never ate. What is the secret of this? Then Krishna explains in Bhagavatam the secret of life. The same thing he repeats in Gita. Pashyan Shrima. Say loudly. I want to say that you all have read. Pashyan Shrima. Sprishan Jigran. Ashnan. Ummishan.
Kachan Swapan
Kachan Swapan Swashan. Ummishan.
Pralapan Grinhan. Ummishan Nimishan.
Indriyani Indriyateshu Vartanta iti dharaya. What is the dharana? Indriyani, the sense organs, are dealing with the sense objects. I am not that. I have not touched you. I have not danced with you. I am Purna Parabrahma. I have nothing to do. No work for me. I am costless and I have not touched you. Same thing, Durvasa Muni. Ashnan, he took all these things, but he said, no, I have not eaten. When you eat, do you have the bhoktritva? That's what Krishna says in Gita. This aham karta is kartritva. Aham bhokta is bhoktritva. Do you have this idea? I am eating the wonderful food that is given to me. If you think you are eating, the kartritva bodh is there. You are not developed detachment. If you think God is eating within you, He is sitting within you as an Agni and He is digesting all the food. If you think like that, you are not doing. I am not the doer. That is the wonderful principle Krishna teaches us in Gita. Of course with other teachings. So here Krishna taught the gopis this wonderful idea of how you should detach yourself from every activity. If you are a devotee, not a jnana yogi, for instance, you are a devotee, you like personal God, then think that personal God is doing everything. Kayena vacha manasendriyeva buddhyatmanava prakrite svabhava. How beautifully he says, Kayena vacha manasa, that we all do, we know. Prakrite svabhava, he adds that by your nature you may do something which is not known to you. My nature may be sattva, rajas, tamas mix. I may be tamas high predominant. Another person may be rajas, another may be tamas, sattva. So with this prakrite svabhava, according to my svabhava, I may do something. Yatyat karomi sakalam parasmai Ramakrishna iti samarpayami. I say this every night. At the time of going to sleep, I say, hey Ramakrishna, whatever I do, even without knowing, because of my swabhava, I have done something, then sakalam parasmai, everything I give it to you. If you have that, if you are personal God, then you must devote everything, arpan everything. That is called surrendering to everything to Lord. And the Lord will be extremely pleased. And He is the true heir. I am not the true heir. This conception will come. If you are a Jnana Yogi, then you think, yes, I am not the true heir because I am Atman. Inside Atman is there. This external body, physical body, Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira, these three bodies are external to me. I am actionless. So, this is a wonderful idea. From Krishna's life we get it. So, I think more than half an hour is over. Thank you very much everyone. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanam.
No, this one.
Oh, you didn't go?
No. Can everyone hear?
Yes.
So what should I say? Nita?
You must have discussed it among yourselves.
No, this is a first, absolutely not. So this is, spontaneous. Anyhow, the whole mode of worship of Sri Krishna, to me, is unique. We don't find anything like this in any other tradition within India or outside of India for one reason. That is that in every stage of his life and in different parts of India, you have a different Krishna that's worshipped. It's a very interesting thing that he'll be worshipped as a small baby. This will be one type of thing, as Gopal. And then he gets a little older, Govinda. Then those who like this Sri Krishna of Gita, a whole different type of Sri Krishna that we have there. Then in Western India, we have with Rukmini. Each one is a little bit different. You have, with Gita, of course, you have the wonderful tradition of strength, this lion of Vedanta, all of that. And then Bhagavata, you have such a sweet type of tradition. So everybody has a different way of worshipping, and there's a different ideal associated with each different stage of Krishna's life. So it's a very nice thing. We learn so many very important things from this tradition of Sri Krishna. And what I would like to do is tie it in a little bit with two later traditions that are almost a seamless continuation, and that is Chaitanya Deva and Sri Ramakrishna. And I want to do this a little bit with the Krishna of the Bhagavata. Now, the Krishna of Gita, I especially like, but I won't talk about it. That appeals to me very much, that ideal of strength. And that also, if we look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna and his harmony of the four yogas with Swamiji and everything, we can take it directly back to Gita and Sri Krishna of the Gita. But I want to talk a little bit about this more devotional tradition. The one reason why I've been thinking about this is when we were in New Jersey, somebody asked a very, very strange question, very odd type of question. You remember what it? He said, how do we teach our children not to go and say this Radhe Radhe? So we said, what's the objection to Radhe Radhe? That here we have this immoral relationship, that she has her own husband and yet she's in love with this other man, and what will the children think and all of that. So then I started thinking about actually the beauty of this, what they call Madhur Bhava. And when we look at the different stages of Sri Krishna's life, we find that all of these different bhavas are taught and illustrated in them. The traditional bhava, we have this doctrine of the Pancha Bhava. Thakur liked this very much. Thakur actually practiced, when he did his Vaishnava sadhana, he practiced all of these different relationships, bhava. And he stressed this so much that he said that you have to form a relationship with God. Not only have to, but this becomes the spiritual refuge for us. He says, Aktabab asroy kote hoy. Asroy. You have to really make that the foundation of your spiritual life. He thought the relationship aspect was very, very important. Now, this is a dualistic teaching. Every dualistic teaching of Sri Ramakrishna was superimposed on non-dualism. We shouldn't think that he taught dualism as any type of metaphysical teaching, that God and individuals are eternally separate, nothing like that. But as a spiritual attitude, which helps get rid of this egotistical feeling, which allows us to realize oneness. This is the main point of these different attitudes of bhavas. So this Shanta bhava is not given much prominence. This in the Vaishnava teachings, each bhava, each one is higher than the other. Each one includes the other. So the Madhura bhava includes all of them. But we see with Mother Yashoda how she has this beautiful relationship with the baby Krishna, how Sri Krishna's friends have that beautiful relationship. So we have the Sakya Bhava, we have Vatsalya Bhava, all of these things. And before that, Dasya Bhava. Generally we talk about Hanuman and Rama with that one. All of the others are with the Krishna. But this Madhura Bhava is something very special. I want to talk about that a little bit. We know that Swamiji didn't like this very much because he wanted this heroic attitude. And Sri Ramakrishna also didn't push it very much. And he makes a very beautiful statement to the members of the Brahmo Samaj. The Brahmos also didn't like it. They didn't like too much of the Hinduism and gods and goddesses and all of these things. So he made a very beautiful statement to them. He said, it doesn't matter whether you accept Krishna and Radha, whether they existed or did not exist. None of that matters. It may be pure fiction. But accept this tremendous attraction that Radha felt for Krishna. And that's what we have to take out of this whole thing. This idea of such love for God that the mind is constantly dwelling on God, that feeling of attraction that way. Now with his Madhura Bhava, we can break it down into two different bhavas. And this is something very, very important. Swamiji very briefly mentioned Viraha Bhava and Milana Bhava. And again, it's all within this Puranic setting. We have to understand this relationship between Radha and Krishna at that time. Try to picture in our minds what's actually taking place. I have a certain idea in my mind that all of these gopis were young girls, because in those days, even during Thakur's time, we had the child marriage. Right? So they can be given in marriage at a very young age. By the time they're 12 or 13, they can move in with the husband, who is somebody that they barely know, who will probably be much older. It's the first time they've left their own mother and father. They're homesick. They're probably afraid of this stranger who they're told is now your husband. So imagine this type of relationship. And yet they're all friends because they're all milkmaids. And there are also these other young boys, because in those days they may go to school for a few years or something like that, but the cowherd community, when they're young boys, they'll start. As soon as they're old enough, 10, 12, 14, something like that, they can go and take the cows out for grazing. Then nothing to do. Right? Cows are grazing, so what will they do? He'll play his flute, they'll play their games, all the boys together, and these young girls, they hear this beautiful flute, and they see this charming young boy, and they feel that tremendous attraction. So they sneak out. From time to time they sneak away when the husband's busy at work, or even at midnight when he's sleeping. Yeah, on the full moon night, and they have such a nice time. Innocent. Now, it got perverted to a great extent, and we can understand why people don't like it a little bit. There were different groups during Thakur's time and everything, but we won't bother with all of it. We think of the purity of this type of relationship and how they long to be with Krishna. And this Viraha Bhava, and according to the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, is greater than the Milana Bhava. When they were separated from Sri Krishna, the mind was more intently thinking about him. When will I see my Krishna? When will I see my Krishna? Every second they couldn't think of anything but him. So this feeling of separation for them was really a type of ecstasy. Bhava means ecstasy also. It can mean an attitude, but really would be kind of an ecstatic type of experience. And when they were with him, of course, then they had the joy of that union, Milana Bhava. So we have these two, back and forth, back and forth. Now, I also mentioned when we had this New Jersey group that according to my understanding, when we're talking about the devotional ideal, that Radha is the main feature, not Krishna himself. Krishna we don't see as a great lover of God. We don't see him weeping and wailing and worship and all of these things. Everything is Radha. Radha becomes the ideal. Radha becomes the standard. And then when we get to the life of Chaitanya Deva, we find that he really is, though he's supposed to be an incarnation of Krishna, according to them, that he is really Radha also. And the belief among the Orthodox Vaishnavas is that Krishna envied the devotion and love of Radha. So much so that he wanted to be born as Radha to experience the joy of love of God that way. So this is how they explain why he's a Gauranga. That means that he has a golden complexion. Gauranga, Gaura, all of these different names. So they say that outside he was like Radha and inside Krishna. So Anta Krishna, Bahir Gaura, Anta Krishna. So that way. So outside he was golden complexion, inside black. That means outside Radha, inside Krishna. They take him as a combined avatar, combined of both Radha and Krishna. And we see in his life that he also went back and forth, just like a swing, back and forth between his Viraha Bhava. There's Viraha Bhava and Milana Bhava. Viraha Bhava, this is where we see all of these emotional signs, where we see the weeping, the burning sensation. They have all of these different, I think 19 different physical manifestations of this devotional mood of separation from God. Even blood coming out of the pores, all of these things that were seen in the life of Chaitanya Deva. And at that time, he would be mad. And all of the things we read about Radha, that this whole concept of uddipana, this is another very important thing. This uddipana and all of these different physical manifestations, we have three different examples. One is Radha, the other Chaitanya Deva, the third is Ramakrishna. Not Krishna, Chaitanya, and Ramakrishna, but Radha. So we really can't imagine this Madhura Bhava and this Leela, this Radha Krishna Leela without Radha. Her importance is so great that way. So we see in the life of Chaitanya Deva also Uddipana. Uddipana is a very interesting concept. This power of association of the mind, when the mind is so sattvic, and it's just like perfectly dry tinder, that you put it next to the fire, immediately it'll catch fire, it'll burn that way. This was the nature of the mind of Chaitanya Deva and Sri Ramakrishna and Radha. So as soon as Radha would see a peacock, what would she think of? Krishna used to have a peacock that he would wear in the crown. Immediately she would think of him and go into ecstasy. She would see a dark rain cloud. She would think of his complexion, go into ecstasy, like that. And Chaitanya Deva was the same way. That Thakur gives so many illustrations that he sees a tree, and he knows that this tree is used to make the coal, the type of drum that they use, and it triggers that, and that's used for kirtan and taking the name of Krishna and Hari Bol. So he goes into ecstasy like that. He sees that when he was in Puri, he would be in that mood, and he would see the ocean. He would think this is the Yamuna, that my Krishna is walking along the banks, and he would go and he would even enter into the water not knowing it, practically drowned sometimes. He had to be rescued by the local fishermen and everything. Some people think that nobody knows how he died exactly. Some people think that that's how he died. He had into the Yamuna, so into the ocean that way. So this Udipana we see to such a high degree in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, Sri Ramakrishna differed from the others in one very important respect, and that is once he had his realization, his first realization of Mother Kali, he longed to realize God in different ways, but he never experienced that viraha bhava. It's an interesting thing. I don't know how to explain it. How Chaitanya Deva, after having the highest realization, could still feel that sense of separation, that back and forth, back and forth. It's very hard to understand. But with Sri Ramakrishna, as soon as he had his realization of Mother Kali, then he felt that divine presence all day and night, constantly, and realized his own divinity. Still, he had this desire to experience God in all of these different ways, so he did the Dasya Bhava, emulating Hanuman himself. He went through all of them. But this Madhura Bhava, the essential feature of this is that, and with all of the bhavas, that we have to fix the mind not on the object of worship, but the ideal worshipper. So to do this Vatsalya Bhava, we have to feel that we're the mother and God is the child. So when he worshipped, now the worshipping of Divine Mother, we can say it's like a sixth bhava, sixth relationship. We don't have that in these Vaishnava scriptures, but it's the same principle. That in order to worship God as Mother, he had to think of himself as a small child. It's a psychological trick. That really to behave that way. Psychological trick. He did it with the Dasya Bhava, where he really tried to make himself feel he was Hanuman. He would tie his cloth around so that it would look like a tail in back. He would hop from place to place. He would climb trees. He would eat bananas. Just to get his mind in that mood, to become one with... His idea, the whole idea of the Bhava, one cannot realize Rama unless one becomes Hanuman. Or becomes Sita. He also had to have the vision of Sita before he could have the vision of Rama that way. So we see how this whole thing played out in the life of Chaitanya Deva in one way with his Viraha Bhava, but with Sri Ramakrishna we see it with his Uddipana. So many examples that he went to the Maidan, when the Maidan is just an open park, open field area in Calcutta, and they would have different events there. They would have a circus there and different plays and everything. One day he saw there's an English boy leaning against a tree in such a way that he was bent. The typical pose that we have of Krishna playing the flute. He went into ecstasy because that association, it's a psychological association. As soon as he sees that, it reminds him of Krishna and he goes into an ecstatic mood. So this took place in his life constantly. That he wanted to take him to the zoo. Somebody said, no, how long will you remain conscious? You'll see the lion, you'll think of Mother Durga, that'll be the end. We'll have to carry you home that way. So this lila that took place between this Radha Govinda lila, which really we have to give all credit to Radha, that she's the one who teaches us this tremendous longing for God. So I was saying, Thakur told these Brahmos that at least accept that you want to have union with God, you have to intensify this feeling of separation from God. This separation from God means longing for God. There's a Bengali saying that says, Pawa chaya chawa bhala. It's better to want something than to get something. It's an interesting philosophy. So that some, according to some, this viraha bhava is a higher type of ecstasy than the milana bhava. When we don't we have this parama vyakulata as the highest type of bhakti in the Narada Bhakti Sutra. The tad vismaramani. I also very often think that should be tad virahe. Not if we forget God, but when we feel separation from God and have that tremendous anguish. In the English gospel, we read this longing for God, or restlessness for God. This vyakulata really means tremendous anguish. It really means pain, some terrible pain of the heart. Life is not worth living unless we can have that union. So this was really the main teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, and it goes directly back to this Radha Krishna Leela that way, and it's seen most clearly after that in the life of Chaitanya Deva, and then with Sri Ramakrishna himself. This vyakulata manifested mostly with his first type of sadhana, when he had that longing for the vision of the Divine Mother. And it was so tremendous that he said, for 6 long years, I hardly ate anything, and sleep left me completely. That every night he would just go into the woods north of the temple, spend the whole night in prayer, in weeping and crying, longing for the Divine Mother. People would see him rolling on the ground, saying, "Ma, Ma, Ma." They thought that his own mother died or something. They couldn't imagine what happened. That tremendous longing for mother. And it was that vyakulata, it was that longing which was responsible for his realization. That it became so intense that he said life is not worth living. He wanted to cut his own throat, take his own life that way. And because of that, he had the vision of the Divine Mother. So we very often view Sri Ramakrishna through the lens of the Shakta tradition. He was a worshipper of Mother Kali. We don't realize how tremendously important the Vaishnava tradition was. It was all of Bengal really was so much influenced by Chaitanya Deva, and of course going back to this Radha Krishna Leela, all of that. That was tremendously important in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, how he blended them together so beautifully. I would say still his main attitude was this Shontan Bhav. He used to say that, Amar Bhav, Shontan Bhav. Even though he practiced all of the different relationships, he would say, ultimately my attitude is that I worship God as mother, and I feel that I'm mother's child. But he grew up in a Vaishnava family. They were worshippers of Raghuveer that way. That was also tremendously important, how he blended all of them together. How much love and respect he had for Chaitanya Deva. And how he, Swamiji said, how many times I heard him say that Chaitanya, Nityananda and Advaita all are here together in this one body. Not just he would say that he was Rama and he was Krishna, also Chaitanya, Nityananda and Advaita, 3 great figures of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So I'm going to stop here and turn it over to Swami Sarvadevananda ji. But I think, especially in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, that this was a very, very important aspect of his spiritual practice, and it even was helpful, his Viraha Bhava and all of that, in his worship of God as the Divine Mother.
So we are listening wonderful way of approach to Sri Krishna's life and his teachings.
It will be turned on.
Oh, it is not turned.
Yeah.
So, Krishna is a figure in the history of India,
which has kept alive the whole Indian culture for thousands of years. Rama and Krishna, these are the two figures which have kept alive the Indian civilization, the highest spiritual truth to the personality of these two great personality, of this spiritual entity. Krishna is normally called he who karshati iti Krishna, he who attracts, he who pulls our mind. And Krishna wants his appearance in the world platform, in the field of what you find, so many aspects we have already heard about, child aspect, when he's adult aspect, when he's going to be a king aspect. So in different phases of life, Sri Krishna is unique in his approach and personality. And Swami Vivekananda, we have talked about other aspects. Swami Vivekananda emphasized this aspect of his courage, strength, and detachment and power. It is, and it's a very unique story when Krishna's advice to Arjuna in the war field. And that war is going on in our heart all the time. In our day-to-day life, we are confronted with that type of war. All the relationship problem, or the problem in the office, problem everywhere, this good versus bad, evil versus which is auspicious, that is going on continuously. So this is the point, but when everything started, response from Krishna started when Arjuna surrendered. And he said that, what is the verse? Karpanya doso apahata svabhavo prichhami tam dharma samudha cheta jat sreyasya buddhi nishchitam buddhitam me shishya deyaham shadi man prapadati. This is a wonderful lesson that starts the entire starting point of Lord's advice. Karpanya doso apahata svabhavo. We are all kripon. Kripon means what? Neither means what? You have your money, you don't know how to utilize it. Neither stores the money in the bank, and it's only popcorn. So, neither are people like that. So in our spiritual dignity, we are all divine, we have all infinite power and energy, but we are kripon. We think we are so little, we are so helpless, we are so insufficient, we are so dependent on everything. Karpanya dosa apahata svabhavo. That's why Arjuna accept that idea. Yes, I am in that position now, as we are all. That's why Prichhami Tvam, I am asking you, who am I? The dharma samudha cheta. My dharma, cheta, the consciousness about my dharma, I am now forgotten, or I am mudha. I am a fool in that knowledge of the dharma. What is my dharmic responsibility? That's the big thing in our day-to-day life. What is my dharma? What am I to do in this? What I should act and why I should not. But only that will not do, that we are bewildered. Question comes the next. The Shishyaste aham. I take refuge in you, the Lord of the universe. Shishyaste aham sadhi man prapanna. So I am your disciple. That humility should come. Yes, we are kripal, but we will have to surrender ourselves to this higher personality, the divine personality, and to be a disciple. Shishya, what is the duty of a disciple? Disciple is to follow the dictate of the teachers. So there are many teachers, we hear many lessons, but don't be a disciple. In a sense, we become disciple outwardly, but don't follow them. So that's the problem. In life's struggle, here stands Krishna with all strength and power, totally detached. In every incident happening, this is the uniqueness of Sri Krishna's life, that even in the movie, that movie which is...
Legend of Tiger.
No, earlier movie, where Krishna's whole play was going on in series, Syria. And there you find that Krishna is always peaceful. His face is always, there is no tension, as it were. Tremendous war is going on, tremendous decision he is making, but he is always in serene and peaceful mind. The example of our real self standing here. And how to do? Look at Krishna. We only look at Krishna. He played, he danced with gopis. What a funny thing. It was all fun, joy. Krishna's not fun. From the very birth, he has to face every challenge of death every day. But he's doing everything. Killing the Sakotasura. And then when mom came, the child is smiling like innocent child doesn't know anything. And you see, the mother comes and takes the baby in the lap and says, oh, this, they bring the, what you call, those who's, to sprinkle water and bring some, what you call, bhutan or whatever.
Exercise.
Exercise. So they bring them and to drive away the bhoot, so that the child be safe and sound. And if you look at that Krishna's life, look at that from the very childhood. How much was this play of Vrindavan? Vrindavan play was when he was only 12 years boy, according to Bhagavad. And then he left forever, never turned back to the playground of Vrindavan. Look at this detachment. All the gopis, all their love, they accept the love, but at the same time see the detachment. If we know someone in any point of life and have little relationship or little closeness, how many times we go the whole life with, and that love should be there. But this attachment, look at that, Krishna's detachment. He never went back. But at the same time responsible. He is sending Uddhava to the gopis, relating the stories. You know, these gopis, that also to break the ego of Uddhava. He said, you know, these gopis, they love me so much. You know, they are crying and weeping. You are Uddhava Gyani. Why not you go and teach them something so that they can be consoled. To help them getting consoled, go and teach them. And Uddhava said yes. And he came, and as soon as Uddhava came, you know the story in the Bhagavad, and the chariot came, and all the gopis ran, oh, it is coming from Krishna, and immediately they started, how is our Krishna? Dhaji, remember us, and this and that, and see our deplorable condition. But Uddhava said, why are you crying for Krishna? No? Krishna is in your heart. Huh? So think of Krishna. And the gopis gave it such a response, and Uddhava felt really lost. He said, to whom am I talking? I came to give advice to them. He said, oh Uddhava, you are saying that why you are so much crying and weeping. The Lord is in your heart, He is in the heart of all. So think of Him. He has not done anything in your heart. And he said, oh, Uddhava, you are a Jnani, but you know, how can we think of him? He has taken away our mind with him. The body is only here, mind is gone with him. See, what a depth of spirituality has been treated and given the direction there. So we find that part is the only childhood play. And now we go, the Kamsa Mama loved him very much. To see the nephew, what he did? He just asked him to come to fight with a state, what you call, wrestler. The baby to fight with a wrestler. to kill him. So he is always trying to kill him. And we see that life was not so easy. But how he took every challenge and how he stood there detached, how he taught us to be in life but not to be off the life, to be in life and do all the duties perfectly to perform, at the same time not to be affected by the things in this world. So this idea, the highest idea, stands as detachment. But whenever he speaks Krishna, he does not speak of the person, he talks himself as Atman. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, wherever you will find in the Bhagavad Gita the word me or mine or I, you know that is all he's talking about the self, the Atman. So he stands in that glory. That's why he says, this is the advice what we can take. I think this is very beautiful. Many verses you can take. I think this is very easy, and not easy though we can practice what Sri Krishna says. This verse only, it strikes me very much. Manmana bhavo, madbhakto bhavo, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mami vaishyasi, satyante pratijani priyosi. Manmana bhavo. How to live in the world. You need not have to practice detachment. Detachment is a negative term. Attachment is a positive term. Manmana bhava. Keep your mind like the gopis keep in Krishna. So let us keep our mind in God. Detachment will be automatic. Because we don't keep our mind in God, we keep in the activity and its results. What is happening is effects. And we get really lost into that game of life, and we are always singing, dancing like a puppet in the hands of others. Manmana bhava. Mad bhakto bhava. We are bhakta. We are bhakta of a political person, we are bhakta of a rich person. We surrender ourselves to everyone, but not to God. Mad bhakto bhava. Mad chaji mam namaskuru. That bringing that awareness in our life, that is all my adoration, all my activity, all my action is only dedicated to you. And then that is the culmination that I will reveal myself to thy thee. So this is very practical, applicable idea. And in the struggles of everyday life, if we can practice at least this advice of Sri Krishna, to keep the mind, whatever is going on, Ramakrishna said, like toothache. Keep the mind, toothache, no one have to remind, have you taken toothache? If you have toothache will remind you that I am here. Similarly, make God your toothache. Feel that He is my heart, He is my soul. And fight. Life is fight. Fight means not with arrogance, but with surrendering to God and with inner strength and courage. Fight. It is a struggle. Life is struggle. Life to face the challenges. And facing the challenges is a must. If we wish or we don't wish, we will have to face them. So Swami Vivekananda also supported the idea to have courage. Two ways of facing the challenges. One way is like going to take a dip in the ocean. If you want to take a dip in the ocean, what are the two ways? One, let the wave come, you bow down your head, let it pass over. Or another, you jump over the wave and cross over. So, purpose of life is to cross over the waves of life. And whatever your attitude, and the Gita gives you all attitudes. Vedanta attitude, Bhakti attitude, Yoga attitude, Karma attitude, what not. Take any means of the Krishna's teaching and just say, bow down your head, you are Bhakta, oh Lord, please help me, let it go. let it go. And another way, that is called jump over the. That means that not with our inner power, our own power, but the power which comes from connecting ourselves with the divine inside. So we can think in this way that Krishna's life is a life of detachment. When he was playing, that is also detachment. All the things that, everyone thinks that Krishna Lila is so easy. And Krishna, when his Lila going on, how detached, how it is only for breaking the ego, destroying the ego. You know that last Lila, everyone knows. When the Krishna played the flute in the midnight, and all the girls forgot their old duties. They forgot. Some was cooking, some was serving the mother-in-law, some was taking care of the husband, some was feeding the baby. Left everything. What a great lesson. The call of God comes, everything becomes secondary. And there comes the union with God. And when they met, God also tastes there also. And Krishna, all are running and ran and met that, what is called Nidhuvan or where. Now Ras will happen in that Nidhuvan. When they all approached there, and Krishna said, why are you, all these ladies, what will happen? Why are you here? Then he said, Arey, you played the flute, you pulled our heart, and then you were saying, what a fun! Then he said, no, it is not good, you are all housewives, go back to your homes, what your husbands will say, and all these arguments are being given. But what the gopis, don't think gopis are ordinary housewives, maid wives, no. They are the fullest person of knowledge and wisdom. Then he said, oh Krishna, I know, you are the Pati, Jagat Pati. These are all fake Patis. No. But you are the real Pati, Jagat Pati. So don't delude us. And anyhow, then their attraction and then they have dance. And see, during that dancing, each one is feeling Krishna with heart. Look at that. It is not a physical, it is a very highly spiritual thing. That is, everyone is feeling the presence and Krishna is with me and me alone. Every gopi is feeling that way. And then also see, next step in the Bhagavad we find, when Krishna, they thought that these ladies thought, each one said, oh, I am fortunate. Krishna has come to play with me. I am somebody. Little bit ego came, boom, and Krishna disappeared. And they become blind. Where did Krishna go? And they started searching for Krishna every place, every nooks and corners. And they all decided, okay, you go this way, let me go this way, let us find, wherever we find Krishna. And they started running. And see, their mind has become Krishna-maya. Their eyes see nothing but Krishna. That is called intoxication, God intoxication. And then they are moving, and they found, Bhagavad says, that there is a branch fallen from a tree. It's a natural fall of the branch. And there are some flowers maybe. And he said, you know, one gopi talking to the other gopi, you know, Krishna might have done this way. Otherwise, while he was going, this tree thought, what can I do? I will offer my flowers at his feet. So he just offered the flowers at his feet. And then you see the grasses in the night, the cold season, that's why in the winter season, no? Little drops of dew drops have fallen. And you see, and the grasses are straight. See, one gopi talking to the other gopi, you know, the grasses, Sri Krishna has done this way. Because his feet has touched this, that's why all romancha has come, all the thrill has come in all the, what you call the grass. Someone is saying, one deer, is seeing one deer like that. You see, oh, he has seen probably our Krishna. That's why he's so alert. Everything they are seeing in their eyes, there is nothing but Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And their ego is wiped out, and then again Krishna appears. So this is the story of the Bhagavad. But it indicates that we should be thinking like that if we want to love God, that much earnestness, that much sincerity. And the funny story, of course, ended in this way. When the night play has been over, now these girls will be coming back to home. Now they are thinking what will happen. My husband will catch me, mother-in-law will hold me, and how can we enter into the home? But miracle of Krishna. This is also spiritual meaning is there. They entered and they thought that they didn't go, the words didn't go, they are doing all the time. All the duties being performed by them as they are performing. Did Krishna take up all their activities there? That is maybe one explanation. And another explanation is, it is not that physically they went. All this happened in their spiritually, their heart, where Krishna, they are united with Krishna. Anyhow, how to get united with Krishna means how to get united with our real self, which is called Atman, which is called our chosen ideal, and taking any teachings of the Bhagavad, teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, teaching of karma idea, teaching of jnana idea, whatever your detachment idea, whatever appeals to our mind, if we can do, and then connect with that, then we can really conquer these life struggles and all these challenges which comes. So I pray to Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Sri Ramakrishna, same, so that we get some definite inspiration and live that life of our perfection, and we grow in love, devotion and wisdom. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful discourse this evening, yesterday evening, and of course the evening before at Carnegie Mellon University. On behalf of all the devotees and friends and family of Sri Ramakrishna Vedanta Ashrama